Our speaker today is Torrion Amie. Torrion is the Director of Advising and Counseling at Normandale Community College, where he oversees the efforts of the Office of New Student Programs. In providing and promoting educational equity and excellence, Mr. Amie brings experience and expertise in improving team cohesion and dynamics, career transition, student development, and cultural competency. His 19-year tenure in the education field includes 3 higher education institutions, 4 high schools, a junior high, and an elementary school. Mr. Amie also provides train-the-trainer consultation in the private and public sectors. So please join me in welcoming Torrion Amie.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. There you go, that's what I like to hear. I'm also an artist myself, so projecting and getting feedback it gives me energy then to, of course, relay that back to you. As Andrea said, I do work for Normandale Community College and have done many things in education. My title says it, the Director of Advising and Counseling, but I like to think of myself as the person who is in charge of development and transformation for students and for staff. There's not a day that goes by where I am not assisting someone in trying to transform them for a better life, in trying to fill the gap that's in their particular life, staff and students. It often happens that in my office, I find students, and at Normandale, we're an open access institution, a lot of non-traditional students. I've had in my classrooms when I've taught individuals who, for PSEO, who were 17, up to people who are 67. And I find the same thing often happens when they come to meet with me one-on-one, that they're not ready. They're not ready. There's an example that I want to give you of a student who recently, she was in PTK, and she also got into the Carlson School of Management, very brilliant. And one question that I asked her is, what are you going to be studying? Natural question. Now, she's held leadership positions. She has a great GPA. Like I said, she's in PTK and Honor Society. And her answer was, I don't know. And here she's going to this world-renowned business school. She still has, and she's been at our place and been at other institutions. She's held leadership positions, and still she doesn't know. But these people we tend to think are ready. They have a high GPA, high ACT, they've held leadership positions, they've done community service, they're going to succeed, they're going to be ready. There's an article I'd like to read to you that came out last May 2015. It's in the Strengths Insights done by Gallup, and it's about academics, careers, and beyond. The title of the article is America's No Confidence Vote on College Grads' Work Readiness. 96% of Americans say it is somewhat or very important for adults in the country to have a degree or certificate beyond high school. Clearly, the perceived importance of post-secondary education remains very high, especially considering that the majority of American adults do not have a degree. But something very troubling lurks beneath the surface of this finding with the recently released 4th annual Gallup Lumina Foundation poll. Only 13% of Americans strongly agree college graduates in this country are well prepared for success in the workplace. That's down 14% from 2 years ago and 19% from 3 years ago. This is effectively a no confidence vote in college graduates' work readiness. And if we don't work to fix it, there will be catastrophic effects for the American educational system and for our economy. The no confident vote gets worse. Americans with college degrees are much less likely to strongly agree college grads are ready for the workplace than Americans without college degrees. 6% versus 18%, respectively. To be clear, in conclusion it says here, to be clear, Those of us who have earned a coveted college degree have even less confidence than the rest of us that college degrees are well prepared for success in the workplace. Unnerving is the only word that comes to mind regarding this finding. Why? Because no matter whom you ask, the general population of Americans, parents, having 5th to 12th graders or current college freshmen, they all give the same answer to their top reason for valuing and attending college: to get a job. Their goal is not simply to get a degree, but rather it's to get a job. A degree is just a means to reach it. So why is this happening? Not a rhetorical question. Why is this happening? Anyone? If we don't have the answers, then that might be an issue too. Anyone have any thoughts of why it's happening?
Why is the confidence dropping?
Why is the confidence dropping? I left it open. Why is the confidence dropping? Why are these people who are brilliant otherwise and maybe leaving high school and other places with all of these indicators of success, why are they going into the workplace not ready? Or the perceived readiness? Yes? Mismatching skills and job needs? What that particular job is requiring. Okay, and there was someone behind you, yes?
Many students, I understand, they have better placements than any of the college. School systems?
Yes.
Their placement is way beyond what the university or private college?
That is correct. Yep, that is correct. Anyone else, any thoughts? Yes, sir.
Is that there's a lot of concentration on the academic without concentrating on the critical interpersonal skills that are necessary for the workplace?
I know I'm not at liberty, so I won't, but my man. Otherwise known as non-cognitive skills. Anyone ever heard that title before? I'll give you one there are many definitions, but non-cognitive skills refers to a set of attitudes, behaviors, and strategies that are thought to underpin success in school and in work. So every day that I meet with people, I am focused even more so with my staff, with my colleagues. I've worked in the private and public sector on helping to develop people's non-cognitive skills. I have individuals who come into my office, sit, and they meet with me for any particular type of counsel. I have information that they need, not that they want, that they need. And they sit there, and I start talking, and I'm giving them all these pearls of wisdom, or at least so I think. And they stand there, and they sit there, and they're just staring at me. And after about 2 minutes, I say, Chris, I happen to know Chris, so I'm going to pick on him a little bit. Chris, you going to remember all of this? No. And then you know what the next thing they ask me? Well, do you have a piece of paper? Me. They set an appointment to come meet with me to learn something. They're asking me for a piece of paper. So I obliged because Chris is my buddy. Here you go. Next question is, do you have a pen? They're not ready because everybody has a sexier phone than me. See this? Yeah, there's nothing. There's no date on there. There's nothing. Call, hello, that's it. They don't even know or pay attention that they can pull that out and use that for academic purposes. They are using technology for entertainment, not education, for amusement, not academics. They're not ready. The top 5 non-cognitive skills that I try to work on with anybody whom I am coaching or mentoring are self-assessment, adaptability, research to help them to be research-minded, to follow through, and then last but not least, open and honest communication, receiving it and giving it. So self-assessment. I have too many individuals coming into my office, and even the people that I work with, who do not know that their skills are at X level, and they usually think they're at a higher level. So if they haven't self-assessed properly, they're thinking they can do some things that at this moment they just don't have the competency to. They have the capability, but they don't have the competency to, but they believe they do. Adaptability Children adapt much easier than adults. And we always want grace, but we're not that willing to give grace. Please forgive me. Please allow me to be late. Please, I forgot some things. Let me get this pass. In addition, people have a problem with change, right? But I'm going to go a step further. People really don't have a problem with change. They have a problem with loss. Because there's something different now that I have to do that I can't, there's something different I have to do now that I no longer to do before. So adaptability, helping people with that. Research-minded, some people would call it critical thinking, but for me, finding the information out, not just yourself. After I give you tools, then you go and research and come back to ask me questions. Follow through. Too often, if there is one or two small barriers, people give up. It isn't really that folks don't have a plan or a bad plan, or that they don't know where to find a plan. It's when they come in contact with an obstacle, they give up. So where's the stick-to-itiveness? Where's the perseverance? And then last, like I said, open and honest communication, so that you could tell me how I might be encroaching upon your best practices, vice versa. I can tell you what you need to do to fill the gaps, vice versa. Those are the things that I try to work on every single day. And this is what I particularly feel is missing in our graduates and folks in the workplace. I have a guest with me, a very, very brilliant and capable person, of whom was a student success mentor in one of the classes that I taught, and also one of my advisees. I brought her here to tell her particular story because she's one of these people at the onset had all of those things that we say, oh, they're going to be successful. Oh, they're ready. But I want her to tell her story of what she's been through and now how she's on trajectory to be ready. Miss Oksana Burt.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am very, very thrilled to be here today, but I'm also very nervous, so please bear with me. Okay. So I'm going to talk about my experiences in college in America. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I come from a small farming village in western Ukraine where we grew our own food, and we went to the well to get fresh water. And the life there wasn't very easy. I'm not sure how, but somehow I knew inside that being a farmer wasn't really what I was born for. And so I decided to focus on my education and hoped that it will help me to get out of poverty and have a brighter future one day. Both my parents were teachers, and even though they were employed, they were not getting paid because due to the fall of the Soviet Union at that time. So going to college wasn't really realistic for me. However, I stayed persistent and I studied very hard, and as a result, I graduated high school early at the age of 16, and then I received a full scholarship and a monthly stipend to Ternopil National Pedagogical University in Ukraine to major in English. And I thought I was on top of the world. My hard work and persistence had finally paid off. So after my second year at the university, I applied for a student exchange program, and I got a visa to come to the United States. I was only 18 years old, and there I was in the middle of New York City getting on the tour bus to go and see Manhattan. I literally had to pinch myself to make sure I wasn't dreaming. The year I spent in New York City, I will never forget that time, but as great of a city it is no secret that living there is really expensive, loud, and restless. So I moved to Minnesota in search for better quality of life so I can go back to school and finish my education. I started at Normandale Community College, and I was terrified because I wasn't sure I was going to be successful. I had to learn, speak, write, do everything in English. And to now I could do well, and what I think helped me be successful academically was the kind of education I was coming from, the style of education. In Ukraine, going to school is almost like going to the army. Teachers are gods, and it seems like our lives depend on them. And teachers are really strict, and there's not much mercy for the struggling students. And those who can't pass their courses do get left behind. So you have to learn that you're on your own and you have to rely on yourself to keep moving forward. And we also didn't have luxuries such as Word documents to write our papers or multiple choice tests. All our exams and homework was either explained verbally or written by hand. So in America, I had two different experiences as a college student. One was becoming a student again, and the second was becoming college ready. At first, my idea of being successful as a student was getting A's so I could get a job and then I can make a lot of money. But unfortunately, I ended up nowhere with my A's. I felt like I was all over the place. I didn't ask for help from anyone. I assumed I knew what I was doing, and I just listened to those, he said, she said, without checking with the professionals like Torrion. So I took my classes seriously, but for some reason, my education was always in the second place. There's secondary to working 3 jobs at a time or spending time with the friends that kept me at their level, or putting too much effort into dysfunctional relationships without realizing actually that I was hurting myself in the long run. So all that resulted in me taking a break from school. I went back to work, I paid off some loans, and here I was again serving tables and counting tips at the end of the day. And all the dreams and goals I set for myself back in Ukraine were nowhere near my reach. So I understood in order to fulfill my dreams, I had to go back to school. So I sprinted back to Normandale, and this time I decided I'm going to make my education my #1 priority. One of the first classes I took when I went back was Path to College Success. And the way the class is set up is instructor is a counselor or an advisor, like Torrion, and it also had a student success mentor. And it's designed to teach students skills they can use not only in school, but also in life. And I was also told that if I get involved in school, my experience as a student would be a lot better. So I decided to get involved. I became a student success mentor, and I worked with people like Torrion. I got a chance to meet the staff, and I couldn't believe how many doors opened up for me, more than I could ever imagine. I really enjoyed the class curriculum because, like I said, we learned about things that were applicable in life. And I was working with, actually, last semester I was working with Torrion's class. And what I really liked about his teaching style was that he wasn't just giving lectures, and he wasn't just talking about material from the book. It was more like a conversation students had, and everybody got a chance to participate. We could get off talk and talk about things like, how to be smart about your money and where to invest, just because that's what students were interested in. Torrion's respect for students and his passion for lifting their spirits are extraordinary. I have gone to a few personal development conferences myself, and that is exactly what his class seemed like to me. I feel like there is no greater value than getting wisdom from the ones who have walked the path before. Also, I've learned that school is not only about getting the A's and the degree. It is about learning the life skills that I will be able to use to connect and collaborate with people, and it will also help me to succeed and grow as an individual. Torrion also introduced me to Ngia, an advisor at Normandale, who completely turned my world around. I was blown away with the amount of help and care I received from both of them. So originally my goal was to go to Normandale, take a few classes, and then transfer to the University of Minnesota, because it's the U and everybody wants to go to the U. And I've never really thought of any other options because other schools were either not good enough or way out of my price range. So Ngia helped me explore different schools, introduced me to even more remarkable people. And with hers and Torrion's help in my academic efforts, I was actually able to receive just over $30,000 in scholarships and transfer to Augsburg College to major in biology and chemistry. In addition, I also got accepted to Augsburg's undergraduate STEM research program, and I couldn't be more proud of myself for doing that. So I'm very grateful for all the help I received at Normandale with the transitioning to a 4-year college, and I'm very excited for my future at Augsburg. And I won't be able to do it on my own, so thank you very, very much.
Oksana, I'll pay you your money later for all of those comments. The check is in the mail. Let me tell you what was missing from an otherwise very brilliant and capable person. Too many times we expect things, technology, policy, procedure to guide, help, and develop people. But what was missing, in my opinion, was the human factor. The human factor of someone coaching and mentoring her. And our students are told to get involved and do extracurricular activities, civic engagement, different things of that matter, but too often they're one-offs. See, if you have a coaching or mentoring relationship, you have to come back to that person. And it's a longer relationship of where they continue to develop you until you're at your particular goal or your particular place. And then later on, hopefully, she'll be able to provide that same instance for somebody else. But these things have to be taught. These things have to be coached. You don't just automatically are able to do that. And of course, you have expertise with your life and your particular background and culture, and then you could become a mentor at any particular situation. But the idea that she gave specifically, or the example that she gave specifically, and by the way, I am a University of Minnesota graduate, but it was point on. Students come in and they say, here's what I'm gonna do. Here's where I want to go. Here's where I want to be. Not even knowing if that really is the best opportunity for them or not. Same thing happens when we graduate or when we're going into the job market, not really knowing if this is the best opportunity for you or not. I want to close with a little activity. There are a few of you that, because I'm an educator, this is what we do. I have zero interest in embarrassing you. I have zero interest in making you feel worse in front of your colleagues and constituents. As you heard her say, quite the opposite. But I would like to hear participation and a response to this question. I know a few people in the audience, so I'm going to choose a couple of folks. Andrea, what do you want to become? I'll give you a few seconds. Les, you will be next. What do you want to become? Terry, I don't know what you're laughing at. You're after that. Yes.
I would say a transformational leader.
Transformational leader.
A role model to my children.
Okay. Now, you can't see their faces, but when I asked that, the first thing they did was this. Now I'm going to do something slightly different. What do you want to be for your career when you grow up? What do you want to be? You see how slow that response is? I knew it was going to be like that. Because that is exactly what we do to our students. What do you want to be? And then I believe in backwards design because I use it too. But the problem is, then all of a sudden we start thinking, well, I'm going to start at psychologist and work my way down. Not a problem. But when I am a psychologist, then what? How transformational is that? It can be, but how transformational is it? Versus the responses that they gave when I asked them, what is it that you want to become? And then even once you may reach that particular part of your life, you realize that I'm only at this point and I got to evolve even more. And I have to do something else. It's a continuum when you ask people what they want to become instead of what do you want to be or what do you want to do. And we do that all the time. And I see students of all ages, and I even see my staff in various places that I be, it causes anxiety because now I got to think about that. And what if I don't want to do that for 20, 30, 40, 50 years? But asking them who or what they want to become in the midst of those things, I personally believe is much more important. For those of you who are business owners and people who are leaders and professionals by title, you know, it's very important that you set up mentoring and coaching for your constituents, for your staff, for your colleagues, formal and informal. It's important that these non-cognitive things that I'm talking about, part of the onboarding process and going all throughout. It's important that the people who are trainers get trained, that the people who are managers get trained. Because if we don't, then we'll have a lot of people coming through the system who do not know how to mentor, who do not know how to coach, who do not know how to develop people, and then we deserve what we get. So, are we preparing people for profit, or are we preparing them for purpose? Thank you.